So it's a little bit different this morning. It's a participation sermon. So just to help you, you want to pass this back to that side. I think you pass these back to that side. I think that's plenty. This is simply to make sure that you pay attention throughout the whole sermon. Because whenever I say the phrase, I've learned or I have not learned the secret of being content, then you will all say very loudly, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So let's try that. I have learned the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Okay. And now you got to pay attention because it doesn't come right at the very beginning, first one. So, I did a lot of research preparing for this sermon this morning. I watched the movie Babe 3 times. So now I know the secret word to control sheep. It's Ba-Ram-U. Haven't seen the movie. Because if the Lord is our shepherd, what does that make us? Sheep, right? Yeah. That's not so bad, is it? Oh, sorry. Have any of you herded sheep before? Anybody herded sheep? If you have, you know that being called a sheep is not necessarily a good thing. Sheep are not the most intelligent animals in the world. You can pretty much let your dog out in the morning, he runs around, marks his territory, and then you call him, dog comes back, or at least comes back when it's hungry. You don't see a group of dogs with herders, taking them everywhere. Dogs are the ones who do the herding. They made a Super Bowl commercial one time with some cowboys herding cats. I'm pretty sure that was fake. Now, if it had been the cats herding people, that would have been real. Cats are really smart. But sheep need constant watching. One of the things that separates humans from animals is that animals almost all the time are just controlled by their basic desires. In other words, when an animal gets hungry, that's pretty much all they focus on is taking care of that hunger until, they find some food. I know some of you're thinking about teenagers right now, but that's just a phase that humans go through. Intelligent humans, we have the ability to actually put aside basic needs to focus on higher needs. That's why we have learned the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
All right. It's also why you never see animals join humans on hunger strikes to protest the mistreatment of animals, something you think would be very near and dear to their hearts. It's because they're just focused on that basic needs, and humans, no, we can not just feed our appetites, we do that too, but we can stop, the basic needs to focus on something more important. Sheep being one of the dumber animals, they'll wander off a perfectly good grazing ground looking for something they think's even greener. They often eat poison weeds mixed in with the grass just because they're in such a hurry to fill their bellies. They don't know the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Sheep are also controlled by their fears. It doesn't take a lot to frighten the sheep. A rabbit might jump up and run, and one sheep will turn to another and say, what was that? And another sheep says, I don't know, but we better run. And they'll take off running. The other sheep, why are they running? I don't know, but we better run. And pretty soon you got the whole flock out there running. It's pretty obvious unless you have a nice containing pen for sheep that you need someone always there with the sheep looking out for them. So what does that have to do with us? Am I trying to say that we are dumb and fearful? I'm not trying to say anything. This is actually God's word. He wrote this through David. Well, so what is God saying about us? Well, he doesn't compare us to eagles or lions. He doesn't even compare us to monkeys, who are, pretty clever. He compares us to sheep. Pretty sad, isn't it? But there we are, always in need of a good shepherd. We haven't learned the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
We are actually pretty similar to sheep in a lot of our behaviors. You know, we wander off from good relationships just to feed an appetite. We aren't easily satisfied, and we stray our own way thinking, oh, the next thing, that will make me happy. That looks good over there. And we are ruled oftentimes by our fears, our insecurities, our anxieties, especially, the Bible tells us, and we've all experienced, by the fear of death. Without a shepherd, we won't survive. And sometimes we have a hard time admitting that, even to ourselves or even to God. Because sheep are also very stubborn. You know, we just have to do it on our own, refusing to admit that we need guidance, that we need help, we need a shepherd. In the highlands in Scotland, a sheep will often wander, and there are lots of rocks there. The grass grows between these rocks, and they'll get into places that they just can't get back out from. But they love the grass there. It's a very sweet grass, and they'll jump down 10 or 12 feet to a ledge below that has grass, but of course then they can't jump back up. And so then they'll start, you know, bleeding in distress, hoping that the shepherd hears them and comes and rescues them. You know, and they might be there actually for days, you know, until they've eaten all the grass. But it's interesting, the shepherds there, they don't go down right away and get the sheep. Instead, the shepherd waits until the sheep is so faint that they just lie down, fall down, can't stand up. And then he ties a rope around himself, and then he goes down and rescues the sheep. The reason the shepherds don't go right away is that those sheep are so foolish, so skittish, that if he went down while they're still standing up, they'd try to run, and of course they're on a ledge, on a cliff, and they'd fall and they'd kill themselves. Well, how often isn't that the way that people are as well? They run from God until they're just kind of at the bottom. Maybe they, you know, have no friends, or they've lost everything, or till they get to their weakest moment, whatever that is for that particular person. Only when they're convicted of their need, their utter helplessness in themselves to meet that need, are they willing to yield to the shepherd. It's only then that they've learned the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
We all need the Good Shepherd. We need to make sure that, as we heard in our other readings, that we can recognize His voice and His voice alone. Because as 1 John wrote, there's lots of false shepherds out there, lots of false prophets out there claiming to be our shepherd, claiming they have the right direction. They can lead us into safety and security and happiness and contentment and all those things and give us what we want. But Jesus said, His own know His voice. They won't follow another. Is it really Jesus then who is your good shepherd? Or are you following someone or something else? Probably the most simple way to find out is just right there in the very first line of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So ask yourself, am I in want? Am I satisfied down in the true core of my being? Not in just the different things of life, but in my real self. Do I know the secret of being content?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
You see, if Jesus is your good shepherd, you'll be content in the very core of your being, in the heart of who you are. If He's not, well, then we could rewrite the 23rd Psalm something like this. The dollar is my shepherd. I shall always have so many wants. It makes me lie down in greedy pastures. It leads me beside selfish waters. It robs my soul. My job is my shepherd. I shall always want to get ahead. It never lets me lie down. There's just no time. It leads me straight into turbulent waters. It drains my soul. My ego is my shepherd. I shall always want to be better than anyone else. It makes me lie down in smug pastures. It leads me beside the waters of criticism. It hardens my soul. American culture is my shepherd. I don't know what I really want. It always changes. It makes me lie down in the pastures of apathy. It leads me beside the waters of relativism. It confuses my soul. Pleasure is my shepherd. I want food, drink, toys, games, fun. It makes me lie down in strangers' beds. It leads me by the waters of risk. Poisons my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll pretend there's no evil, because not one of these shepherds can comfort me or guide me. They only make it worse. They prepare me as the main dish on the table of my enemies. They anoint my head with bitterness. My cup's completely empty. Surely evil and hopelessness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the bowels of hell forever. There are many things that want to be our shepherd, that claim to lead us, but they're false voices. They're false shepherds of destruction. What is it in life that you think you need to be satisfied? What is the secret of being content?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
There is only one shepherd who can truly meet all our needs, who truly can satisfy. But we need to be careful, because we often miss what that actually means. You see, often when we hear that Jesus will make it so we don't have any wants, we think of all the things we want, and then we start looking around in our life to see if Jesus is bringing them to us and giving us those things. But it's not in giving us everything that we want that Jesus is about. He is all about changing what we want. He's about changing what we want. The Good Shepherd wants to give us contentment in the core of our being, in the place of our heart where it really matters, not just in the temporary fleeting things of life. He knows we need those things, but he wants to truly meet our need where it can't be shaken. He wants us to learn the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
And of course, he, as I said, he meets those earthly needs. He takes us by green pastures and quiet waters. He's our provider, but he wants to meet our needs on just such a deeper level than just stuff in our lives. He wants to be our satisfaction. He wants to be our contentment. He wants to be our joy, our pleasure of our hearts. Himself, personally, in the center of our hearts. A Sunday school teacher once asked a group of students if any of them knew the 23rd Psalm by heart. And a little 4-year-old girl raised her hand and said that she knew it. And the teacher was a little skeptical and said, "Are you sure you know it?" And the little girl nodded her head enthusiastically, so the teacher invited her to come up to the front of the class, and she marched up proudly. She faced the class, and she gave a little bow, and in a clear, strong voice, she said, "The Lord is my shepherd. That's all I want." And then she bowed, and she went back to her seat. Now, she might have missed a few lines, but she actually understood the very heart, the essence of this precious scripture. When it's Jesus you really want, then you will know contentment and peace and joy, no matter what else is going on in your life. Whether you live in a fine home or on the street, whether you're eating filet mignon every night or ramen noodles, or you're a world-class athlete or you're battling cancer, you will still have in Jesus the one thing that will never fail you. It'll never let you down. It'll never go out of fashion. It will never get old. It will never wear out. It will never disappoint or hurt you. You will know the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
And the wonderful thing is, this Good Shepherd knows you by name, personally knows you. In fact, he became a sheep like us for us. He's the lamb who takes away the sin of the world. He doesn't run when the wolf comes, but he lays down his life. He laid down his life for us, his sheep. He knows where all the green pastures are and the quiet waters. But most of all, he knows how to get us through the valley of the shadow of death, because he's been through there himself, and he can safely guide us through. If you seek your contentment in your personal relationship with Jesus Christ, I promise your soul will be restored. Your cup will be so full that it will run over. Goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life, and you will have everything you really want. Then you'll join the Lamb at his banquet table, and dwell in the house of the Good Shepherd forever. And now you know the secret of being content.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Now may the peace of God that passes all human understanding keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Amen.